Djokovic exposes Melbourne's explosive chaos. Good problem to have. Have you ever thought that success could turn into a nightmare? That fame could be a prison from which no one escapes? What I'm about to reveal to you right now isn't just a trivial press statement. This is a sharp surgery on a reality that is both terrifying and spectacular. Novak Djokovic, the living legend of tennis, the man who has seen everything there is to see in this sport, has just broken his silence to reveal what truly goes on behind the scenes in Melbourne. And believe me, what he admitted about the chaos and the rising young star Alex Eala could completely change your perspective on this sport. Brace yourselves, because this isn't a pretty story about growth and progress. No, this is a brutal confrontation with the question: is this a catastrophic organizational failure? Or is it simply the price of greatness that everyone must pay? And why does Djokovic believe that suffocating overcrowding is actually the best problem in the world? People say that having too much of a crowd at any tennis tournament is a very good problem to have. And you know what? Djokovic didn't say this as a polite social phrase. He said this as someone who has seen both sides of the coin. He has seen empty stands. He has seen the deathly silence of courts that no one cares about. And that is the real nightmare Djokovic fears. Not long waiting lines. Not the chaos of thousands of people jostling. But the silence. The emptiness. The slow death of a sport. But why is Djokovic talking about Alex Eala? What does this 18-year-old girl from the Philippines have to do with all this? Let me tell you. Because what happened to Alex in Melbourne wasn't just poor organization. No, it was an explosion of fans that no one could have predicted. Picture this scene with me. Thousands of people trying to cram into a small court. An entire nation standing behind their champion. Organizers in a panic. And Djokovic, with experience as heavy as mountains, admits the truth that some try to avoid. You could argue that it was, maybe a poor schedule. Yes, he admitted it. They put a star as big as an entire nation on a tiny court. And chaos erupted. And you know what? If you want to dive deeper into the drama behind the scenes of tennis, the stories no one dares to tell, then subscribe to the Pro Tennis 360 channel right now. Because we don't just report on tennis. We dissect every story so you can see the truth behind it. So the question I put to you right now is, do you want comfort and quiet in a half-empty stadium? Or do you want to fight through the crowd to be a part of history being written? From borrowed gyms to the pinnacle. Djokovic's 20-year journey. To understand why Djokovic's words carry such weight, we have to travel back 20 years. Imagine this scene with me. The year is 2003, or maybe 2005. The date isn't as important as the location. A young Djokovic, newly entered into professional tennis, arrives in Melbourne for the first time. And do you know where future legends used to train? In a gym. That's right. Just a gym belonging to the Collingwood Football Club. There were no luxury glass palaces like we see today. No high-tech recovery rooms. Nothing. Imagine world champions sharing ice baths and equipment in a borrowed facility across the road. Djokovic recalls those days with a mix of nostalgia and shock at the massive scale of change. We were using the Gym B, as it was called, which was across the road. Djokovic recalls. Forgot what the name of that AFL club is. Essendon, maybe something like that. Collingwood, the interviewer corrects. Collingwood. Sorry, my bad. I know there's a big rivalry there, so I apologize. And do you see the sincerity in that? Djokovic, the man who has won 24 Grand Slams, still apologizes for mixing up the name of a football club. Because he knows these small details matter. Because he respects history. From those humble beginnings, this place exploded to become the National Tennis Center. Indoor courts. Sci-fi style recovery rooms. Player dining halls that rival 7-star hotels. Australia isn't just playing. They are building an empire. And Djokovic has witnessed it all. Every step forward. Every improvement. Every expansion. He has seen this tournament grow from a mere sporting event into a global cultural phenomenon. I like what I have seen as evolution of this tournament, Djokovic says with the tone of someone who has lived through it all. I like when the tournament is nurturing a mindset of always wanting to improve and get better. But here is what most people don't understand. This development isn't just about facilities. It's about psychology, about always wanting to be better, always wanting to provide better conditions for players to train, compete, and recover. And that is what Djokovic appreciates most. Not the big buildings, not the giant courts, but the mindset of continuous improvement. But with every great empire comes a flood. And this is where we come to the missing link everyone is whispering about, the overcrowding. Has this place become too cramped? Has the tournament turned into a commercial monster devouring its own soul? An empire built. But what is the price of greatness? Let's talk about this evolution in more detail. Because to understand the current crisis, you must understand the transformation process. In 2003, the Australian Open was a tennis tournament. Period. Nothing more, nothing less. Players arrived, played, and left. The facilities were functional, but not impressive. And then something changed. Australia decided they didn't just want to host a tournament. They wanted to create an experience. They wanted to build a brand. They wanted to turn Melbourne into the must-visit destination of the tennis world. And they did it, in a grand way. First came the National Tennis Centre, a modern facility with everything a professional athlete could need. Indoor practice courts to escape the brutal Melbourne heat. A state-of-the-art gym. Recovery rooms with the latest technology. Then came the court expansions. Rod Laver Arena was upgraded. Margaret Court Arena was rebuilt. And a series of smaller courts were added. But here is the most important part, the player dining. Do you know why this matters? Because that is where players spend most of their time when they aren't competing. It's where they relax, eat, and socialize. And the Australian Open turned it into a 5-star experience. Djokovic recalls with an appreciative tone, better facilities for the player dining. So all positive signs, to be honest. Australia has always been one of the best in that. And that is why players love Melbourne, not just for the tournament, but for the overall experience. But here is the problem with rapid growth. It creates new challenges. Challenges that no one predicted. As the tournament grew in facilities, it also grew in popularity. More and more people wanted to come. More and more people wanted to watch tennis live. More and more people wanted to be a part of this experience. And that is where things started to get complicated. Because how do you balance providing a great experience for the players and meeting the growing demand of the fans? How do you manage the crowd without diminishing the quality of the tournament? This is the question the Australian Open organizers have had to face. And according to recent reports, they are struggling with it. Complaints are rising. Fans complain about the difficulty of getting into courts. The crowds are unbearable. There is a feeling that the tournament has become too commercial, too corporate. But this is where Djokovic's perspective becomes interesting. Because instead of agreeing with the complaints, he flips the script. He says, having too much crowd on this or any other tennis tournament is a very good problem to have. Let that sink in for a bit. A very good problem to have. Not a problem. Not a disaster. But a good problem. And that is exactly where the real debate begins. Djokovic breaks the silence. Much worse problems to have. Now, this is where things get spicy. Because Djokovic doesn't simply say overcrowding is good and end the story. He digs deeper. He explains why. I think they're much worse problems to have, Djokovic continues. So I think every tournament wants record-breaking attendance and ticket sales. And that's what I've been hearing actually this year and the last couple years for most of the slams and tournaments. Let's translate what he is really saying here. Djokovic is saying that the tennis industry is in a golden age. Tournaments are breaking attendance records. Tickets sell out in seconds. People want to see tennis live. And here is what most people don't realize. This is a wonder. A miracle. Because only a few years ago, the tennis world was worrying about declining popularity. Worried that the younger generation didn't care about the sport. Worried that tennis would turn into a niche sport for only a few elites. But now they are facing the opposite problem. Too many people want in. Too much demand. too much interest. And Djokovic, who has seen both sides of this issue, understands that this is the problem you want to have. It's a good sign, he says. Obviously, we want more attention, more people coming and wanting to watch the tennis live and follow it in live stream. But here is where the story gets even more interesting. Because after Djokovic made this positive statement, the interviewer dug deeper. They asked about the possibility of further expanding the facilities. Could the Australian Open build more courts, expand the area, and meet the rising demand? And this is where Djokovic becomes more cautious. Obviously, I don't know the possibilities of further expanding the facilities or not. I'm not obviously familiar with that dynamic. Do you see the finesse here? Djokovic is saying he isn't an expert on facility expansion. He doesn't know the constraints of space, budget, or regulations. But then he adds a crucial sentence, but I like what I have seen as evolution of this tournament. This is what Djokovic is actually saying. I don't know if they can expand further, but I trust that if necessary, they will find a way. Because that is what the Australian Open has done for the past 20 years. They have continuously evolved, continuously improved, continuously found ways to do better. And that is why Djokovic is optimistic about the future, despite the current challenges. But the story doesn't end there. Because the most controversial moment comes when the conversation turns to Alex Eala, the golden girl of the Philippines. The name on everyone's lips. And what happened to her wasn't just poor organization. It was an explosion of fans that no one predicted. Imagine if there's lack of people. Djokovic's nightmare scenario. This is where Djokovic truly shows the wisdom of someone who has seen it all. Because most people looking at the overcrowding situation at the Australian Open would think, this is a problem. They need to fix it. But Djokovic looks at it from a completely different angle. He says something that will make you rethink. Let's just imagine if there's lack of people coming, or that stands are empty. That's a bigger problem. Let me repeat that. That's a bigger problem. Not a larger problem. Not a more serious problem, but the bigger problem. And here is why this perspective is so powerful. Djokovic has witnessed what happens when tennis loses popularity. He has competed in tournaments where the stands were empty, where the silence was deathly, where no one cared. And believe me, that is a nightmare. Not just for the players, but for the sport itself. Because when no one cares, what happens? Sponsors pull out. TV broadcasts drop. Prize money decreases. Opportunities for young players vanish. It's a death spiral that Djokovic knows well. But now tennis is living in a golden age. People care. People want to watch. People want to be a part of it. And that is why Djokovic says overcrowding is a very good problem to have. Because this problem means the sport is alive, breathing, growing. And despite the logistical challenges, despite the difficulties in managing the crowd, this is the kind of problem you want to solve. Because the solution to too much demand is to expand supply, build more courts, improve crowd control systems, enhance security. But what is the solution to no demand? There is no solution. You can only sit there and watch the sport die slowly. And that is what Djokovic is trying to tell everyone. But I know some of you are thinking, okay, I understand Djokovic's point, but this doesn't mean the organizers shouldn't improve. And you are absolutely right. Djokovic agrees with that too. He says, obviously, I don't know the possibilities of further expanding the facilities or not. I'm not obviously familiar with that dynamic. This is a subtle way of saying, I'm not the decision maker, but I believe they are working on it. Because the Australian Open has a proven history of always improving, always evolving, always finding ways to do better. And if you look at the last 20 years, you will see they have done it excellently. But now they are facing a new challenge, a challenge no one predicted. And that challenge is named Alex Eala. She's the biggest. Djokovic reveals the Filipino explosion. Now we come to the most important part of the story. The part everyone is talking about. Alex Eala. This name might not be familiar to everyone. But if you've been following tennis lately, you'll know she is the rapidly rising star of the tennis world. 18 years old, from the Philippines, and doing things that no one from that country has ever done before. And this is why Djokovic is talking about her. Because at this year's Australian Open, something happened to Alex Eala that no one predicted. Something that exposed the flaws in how the organizers schedule matches. Let me paint the picture for you. Alex was scheduled to play on a small court. Not a large court like Rod Laver Arena or Margaret Court Arena, but one of the smaller side courts. And this is where things became chaotic. Thousands of Filipino fans arrived to watch her play. An entire nation standing behind their champion. And the small court simply couldn't contain them all. Djokovic describes it like this: "I saw the other day with Alex, that's been a talk, and which is understandable. There's some players coming from respective countries, like she's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal. Let that sink in. The Philippines, a country with over 110 million people, has never had a tennis star like Alex Eala before. And now they do, and they want to support her." Djokovic continues, "She's been the biggest ever, tennis player from that country, which is big country and there's big interest. The biggest ever. Do you understand the significance of this? Alex Eala isn't just a good tennis player. She is a cultural icon, a pioneer, a trailblazer. And that is why the fan support is so massive. It's not just about tennis. It's about representation, about national pride, about seeing one of your own on the world stage. But here's the problem. The Australian Open organizers didn't predict this. They looked at Alex Eala and saw a young, talented player. They didn't see a cultural phenomenon. They didn't see the power of an entire nation behind her. And that is why they put her on a small court. Djokovic admits this frankly. You could argue that it was, maybe a poor schedule. And maybe they could schedule her on a bigger court. Yes, maybe a poor schedule. This is quite a big admission from someone like Djokovic. He isn't someone who usually criticizes organizers. He is usually very diplomatic. But in this case, he saw the need to speak the truth. They made a mistake. But right after admitting this, Djokovic returns to his positive angle. But again, she's so young and she's just coming through. And obviously the first couple rounds the schedule is so packed. The big courts with big names, it's difficult. It's not easy to manage that. And this is where Djokovic shows his deep understanding of the challenges organizers face. Because in the early rounds of a Grand Slam, the schedule is incredibly packed. You have hundreds of matches to organize. And the big courts can only hold a limited number of matches each day. So who gets priority? The big names. Proven players. Those who have won Grand Slams before. And Alex Eala, despite her talent, isn't there yet. She is still climbing. Big country. Djokovic recognizes cultural power of representation. Now I want to talk about an aspect many people overlook when they speak about Alex Eala and the Filipino fan phenomenon. This isn't just about numbers. Not just about thousands of people wanting to watch a match. This is about the deep cultural significance of having representation. Let me explain. The Philippines is a country of over 110 million people. It is the 13th most populous nation in the world. They have a rich sporting history, especially in boxing, basketball, and others. But tennis? Tennis has always been a foreign sport in the Philippines. An elite sport. A sport that most Filipinos couldn't access. And then Alex Eala appeared. A young girl from Manila. Trained in the Rafael Nadal Academy program in Spain. US Open Junior champion in 2022. And now competing at the professional level. And suddenly, tennis is no longer a foreign sport. It is a sport where Filipinos can connect. A sport where they have representation. Djokovic understands this deeply. She's coming from Philippines, which is now a big deal, he says. Which is big country and there's big interest. Big country. This isn't just about population size. It's about cultural importance. Because when a nation has a star in a sport, it changes the way that entire nation looks at that sport. It changes what is possible. It changes the dreams of children. Imagine you are a 10-year-old girl in Manila. Before Alex Eala, the dream of playing professional tennis seemed impossible. You didn't see anyone like yourself on the world stage. But now you see Alex Eala. And suddenly, that dream becomes possible. That is the power of representation. And that is why the support of Filipino fans is so strong. They aren't just supporting a tennis player. They are supporting a pioneer, a trailblazer, someone showing the world that Filipinos can compete at the highest level. And Djokovic, coming from Serbia, a country that also didn't have much tennis history before he appeared, understands this intuitively. He knows the feeling of carrying the expectations of an entire country. He knows the pressure of not just representing yourself, but also millions of people looking at you as a symbol of what is possible. And that is why he is so empathetic to Alex Eala's situation. She's so young and she's just coming through, he says in the tone of a protective older brother. Because he knows Alex is carrying a burden most 18-year-olds don't have to bear. She isn't just trying to win a match. She is trying to represent an entire nation. And that is a massive pressure. But it is also a privilege, an opportunity to make history, a chance to change the lives of millions by showing them what is possible. And if that means facing some chaos at the Australian Open, if that means crowded courts and logistical challenges, then it is a price worth paying. Because, in the end, this isn't about convenience. It's about opening the door for new voices, new stories, new heroes. And that is the future of tennis. So what do you choose? Growth and chaos, or comfort and death? So we have come all the way from the humble gyms of 2003 to the vibrant chaos of the Australian Open today. We have seen Djokovic's perspective on evolution, on challenges, and on the future. And now we face a question that doesn't just apply to the Australian Open, a question that applies to all of tennis, and actually to any sport or organization that is growing. That question is, do you want comfort or do you want growth? Because you can't have both. Not completely. Growth always comes with chaos, with challenges, with inconvenience, with problems that need to be solved. But as Djokovic so wisely said, that's a very good problem to have. Because the alternative, quiet decline, empty stands, the slow death of a sport is unacceptable. Remember what Djokovic said, let's just imagine if there's lack of people coming, or that stands are empty. That's a bigger problem. That's a bigger problem. And that is the truth we all need to face. The problems the Australian Open is facing, overcrowding, complex scheduling, managing fan expectations from all over the world, are all signs of success, of survival, of a thriving sport. And the story of Alex Eala is a perfect part of that larger narrative. Because she represents the future, globalization, the expansion of tennis beyond its traditional boundaries. Yes, this creates challenges. Yes, organizers will have to adapt. Yes, there will be mistakes along the way. But those are the kind of mistakes you want to make. Because they are mistakes of ambition, of growth, of trying to do something great. And, as Djokovic pointed out, the Australian Open has a proven history of learning from mistakes and improving. From borrowed gyms in 2003 to world-class facilities today. From a regional tournament to a global phenomenon. They have done it once, and they will do it again. But it is important that we, as fans, as participants, as those who care about the future of tennis, understand the price of greatness. And that price is inconvenience. It is chaos. It is long lines. It is crowded courts. But you know what? I will take that any day over the deathly silence of an empty stand. Because that chaos means tennis is alive, breathing, growing, reaching new people, creating new heroes. And that is the future we should all want. So I ask you one last time, do you want comfort in a quiet, half-empty stadium? Or do you want to fight through the crowd to be a part of history being written? If you choose growth, if you choose chaos, if you choose the future, then subscribe to Pro Tennis 360 right now. Because we are here to tell these stories, to dissect every drama, to show you the truth behind the headlines. We don't just report on tennis. We live and breathe tennis. And we want you to be a part of this journey. So hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and get ready for the stories no one else dares to tell. Because the future of tennis is here. And it is loud, chaotic, and breathtakingly beautiful. And we are living in it right now. So are you ready?